Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades of all kinds, thank you for joining me no matter where you're at across country around this big, beautiful globe. And you know me, folks. You know a little bit about me. I just been sitting back and watching and listening and learning. And of course, much to my chagrin, American progressives have handled this entire situation, which seems very important to them, in an absolutely awful way. Absolutely awful way. Bat and zero. And part of that's because people like Vosh serve as voices for American progressives. Very disappointing. All right, not you guys don't. We don't have any international socialists at the top. Okay, using a pulpit, we just don't have it, and it shows. It shows in the analysis of all of these situations. Now, like I said many times before, the American progressives are in a state of complete and total bewilderment. They're in a malaise, they're in a maelstrom. I mean, they are in the imperial core, so you can forgive them somewhat. But they just cannot seem to get this stuff right. Let me break it down for you. Due process is not a negotiable thing. How's that sound? Due process is not a negotiable thing. It's just not. Doesn't matter the crime. It is not negotiable. That's why we say things over here like we don't just believe men or women. We believe facts and evidence. We don't just believe the accused or the accuser. We believe facts and evidence. That's what really matters. You have a due process. Let me read to you some of these headlines and you'll get where I'm going. Andrew Callaghan responds to sexual assault allegations. Devastated. Now, this is in Variety. We're actually going to read that because it was just like 50 minutes ago. TMZ says all gas, no brakes. Andrew Callaghan responds to sexual misconduct. The Daily Beast says Tim Heidecker dumps Andrew Callaghan over sexual assault allegations. IndieWire, this place rules comic. Andrew Callaghan accused of sexual misconduct. By the way, it did seem to go for most people from sexual assault to sexual harassment to sexual misconduct. Okay, like they're kind of like backing down a little bit. All right. I say you need due process to figure that one out. It doesn't matter what I think when it comes to this stuff. It doesn't matter what you think. All right. Due process is what matters. Get in on it. Promote it. Recruit people for it. You know it's the right thing to do. Now, this is in Variety, and this is by Jordan Moreau and Ethan Shamfield. Thank you for your work there, folks. I'll make sure to put this down below for all y'all. Andrew Callaghan, devastated by sexual misconduct allegations, claims there were repeated requests for money. Okay. Once again, it doesn't matter what I think about that necessarily. It doesn't matter what you think about that necessarily. Due process is going to be required to make the final decision, right? Indie filmmaker Andrew Callaghan, known for his Man on the Street Channel 5 YouTube interviews and HBO documentary This Place Rules, has addressed allegations of sexual misconduct that were made against him in early January. By the way, I believe he's a really young guy. He's like 15 years younger than me or so. Not that that matters as it relates to the allegations, but just the fact that he's got like an HBO documentary out there. Way to go, I guess. Okay, let's see this. In a statement sent to Variety, Callaghan's legal representative said, Andrew is devastated that he is being accused of any type of physical or mental coercion against anyone. Conversations about pressure and consent are extremely important, and Andrew wants to have these conversations so he can continue to learn and grow. While every dynamic is open to interpretation and proper communication is critical from all those involved, repeated requests for money should not be part of these conversations. Well, I would assume not, right? I would assume not. Let's keep going. The statement continues. With that, balanced communication is paramount to any relationship dynamic, and Andrew vows to be better in this regard, while reminding his audience that while even one concerned partner is too many, there are always multiple sides to a story. Andrew is fully committed to working with the appropriate professionals to better understand himself in ways he can grow and improve as a human being. Like I said, he's pretty young, so I would hope you could grow regardless, especially with his growing platform and the vulnerabilities it brings. Okay, let's check this out. A woman named Caroline Elise alleged that Callaghan had stayed at her house and wore her down with requests to have sex until she agreed. He eventually got my consent, but that was because he wore me down, she said in a TikTok video. It's even more hard to have to relive the trauma that I endured every single day by seeing this man as a social justice warrior, as someone who cares about human rights. Get a platform, you shouldn't be supporting him. Huh. Another woman named Dana had a similar accusation days later. By the way, this is not a similar accusation. She alleged that Callaghan had pressured her into having sex in her car after a previous sexual encounter that she found mean and demeaning. That's a huge red flag. I told him to stop. I told him to get off me multiple times. She said in a video posted to TikTok. Now I don't have that. Maybe you guys have that. He tried to put my hand down his pants, and and I was fighting against him during this, telling him to please stop. If this is true, fry him. Now, like I said, I don't believe her. I don't believe him. I believe facts and evidence. We go with that. All right. You have a due process to find the facts, to get the evidence. Sometimes it's just testimony. Okay. Under some sort of cross examination. But there's always, nowadays there's always a little evidence here, text, phone call, whatever. Maybe other people saw how they were acting together and they kind of try to glean what they can off of that. I understand. You do the best you can because you have to have due process, but it is harder to convict someone of something like this, right? HBO released Callaghan's documentary, This Place Rules, on December 30th, and the film was produced by Tim Heidecker, the guy we mentioned before, Eric Wareheim, and A24 on January 12th. Heidecker addressed the allegations against Callaghan and said there are no plans to work with him again. And I'll read that to you as well, okay? Because I want to address something he said. We're aware of the allegations. We take them very seriously. It's been very sad and disappointing to say the least. I just want to clarify a couple things. We have no professional relationship with Andrew at this time and have no plans going forward to have any relationship with him, Heidecker said on his podcast. We did produce the movie, and I feel terrible that this film now has these allegations tied to it because some very good people worked very hard on it. But it's just a movie. And I want to say we believe these women that came forward and, of course, totally condemned the type of behavior that Andrew's being accused of. See how careful he was there? See how careful he was there. He says, I want to say we believe these women that came forward and, of course, totally condemn the type of behavior Andrew's being accused of. What do we say over here? Once again, you just come right back to it every time. It's all about the due process. I don't just believe the women. I don't just believe the men. I believe facts and evidence. I don't just believe the accuser. I don't just believe the accused. Because it is a heinous thing to be accused of, and it is a heinous thing to do to someone. All right? We believe facts and evidence. Incredibly important. Why do we have due process? Why do we have due process? So you can't just use anything you want. And it might not just be like this. It could be any other accusation. All right, think of something that's against the law, right? That way you can't just go, or a regulation. It might be like a business rival. You get what I mean? That way you can't just accuse somebody of anything you want with no proof and get them hammered, right? And have them suffer consequences, right? That wouldn't be fair. No matter what the crime is, you can't do that. We just can't have that. That's an uncivilized society. That's a totalitarian society. Okay, where people's thoughts are just what matters. Their thought, their words, say they say this, they think this, they say this, that's what matters. Not this person's actions. You don't have any proof of it. Okay, no facts, no evidence. Just this person's thoughts and their words. Okay, good enough for me. Hey, set up the gallows. You get what I'm saying? By the way, we had a lot of shotgun justice like that out west. People in the wrong place at the wrong time, often Hispanic, accused of cattle rustling when, of course, they had nothing to do with it, getting hanged. Young boys and men. I mean, not that hanging any man is acceptable. Okay, I do not believe in the death penalty, of course. But just this idea that you can use the law to your advantage to hammer somebody, okay? And then, of course, when it comes to something like this, it gets into the civil realm where money does get involved after criminal cases. Although I am aware that some states allow you to sue civilly first. I think that's totally bogus, obviously. You can't make somebody reveal their defense when their life and limb are on the line. Okay, yeah, that's just not appropriate. Once again, it's uncivilized. But when a woman has an accusation, you should listen. A man, it could be a man, it could be a boy, it could be anyone. You gotta listen. You gotta hear him out because 9 times out of 10, something is going on there. Okay, I'm telling you straight up. 9 times, maybe not 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10. Okay, something is going on there. All right, and look, like I said, it may be treachery on behalf of the accuser. All right, maybe treachery on behalf of the accused. It may be treachery on behalf of the man, treachery on behalf of the woman, but something is up, and you got to get to the bottom of it. Look, one last thing, then you get into things like slander and libel and defamation that kind of ties in with people being accused of things that they can prove that they didn't do, the truth being the ultimate defense. All right, something like this, not so easy, right? Not so easy, at least I don't think so, okay, to prove or disprove. Sometimes it's really cut and dry, okay, and sometimes it seems a little nebulous. And it's unfortunate because people deserve justice, okay, whether they're being falsely accused or whether they did it. There must be justice. So look, I'm gonna leave it at that. I was just pretty disappointed at the takes of just deciding to crucify somebody right away, not having any due process, not just putting it out there that you gotta have it. You gotta listen to everyone. You can't just crucify people right away. You can't burn them at the stake right away. It's not acceptable, regardless of the accusations. Okay, you have to be measured. Okay. Now, look, I'm gonna leave it at that. We actually have some really serious stuff to talk about as it relates to Ukraine and Russia. So let's go ahead and get to that.